digging in the crates for something good. Hidden gems often misunderstood. 'Cause you know there's no such thing as too much. Miscellaneous important stuff.
Welcome back to the show. This week, my friend Amy was here again. Last time she was here, we talked about living abroad. This time, we talked about traveling alone, which I guess sort of relates to her first episode, but she recently went on a solo road trip for the first time, which is something I'm very interested in because I've done that before. I think it's very beneficial. I think it's something everyone should do. So we talked about what her experience was like. We talked about the good things, the bad things, and it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoy it too. Here it is. All right, let's put 40 minutes on the clock.
All right.
There it is, even though nobody can see it.
Boom.
Oh, it works.
There she rolls.
It works. I got a new clock.
It's really
timer.
nice. It's a nice big clock we can all see.
Yeah, you can see it easily.
But no one else can right now.
We're already 10 seconds in, 11 8, 12 seconds in.
I'm just going to count down the whole entire time.
Okay, so tell me why you decided to go on a solo road trip.
Well, I didn't really plan it at first.
Yeah.
Like, I had tried planning 2 other trips that kind of fell through.
Solo trips
with other
or
people,
just trips?
With
Okay.
other people. Like, I was trying to go to California to visit family and stuff, and then through a series of things with a few of my family members, not like negative things, well, kind of negative, but like health issues and other things, it just wasn't good timing. So canceled that trip, maybe go back later this year or something. And then I was going to go visit friends in Portland, and the timing, because I already had the time off scheduled for the California trip to visit family. I was like, well, I'll just try to plan a trip around that time period because I know I probably would need one like come April.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like ready for a vacation by April. So I was like, well, I'll just see if my friends in Portland can let me come visit them then, and messaged them and everything. And it just wasn't the right time of year for them. So, which I totally understood. Like, you know, it's not like in the middle of the school year, it's not really good for everybody. So
Sure.
So I was like, well, 2 fails on trying to plan a trip, and like I just really want to go somewhere. So I was like, I've always thought of doing a solo road trip. I mean, I've done solo trips before flying, but like that doesn't really count because I was like flying and living overseas. I don't count that, like, because once I lived over there, I got to know people. And living over there is different than a road trip. Like,
and you
solo.
weren't going for like a vacation.
Right.
You were going for a thing.
Yeah. So I was like, well, this is the time to do it because I've always wanted to travel out west to the desert and Grand Canyon and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, if I'm wanting to go on a vacation, this is like the best way I can do it now is go on a road trip. So
Ah, it's so exciting.
I like literally decided on a Sunday night and booked everything the next Monday.
Love it.
As I've never been that like spontaneous, though. I mean, like I didn't take the trip for another month, but still, like,
Yeah.
I like decided to do it. I was like, I'm just going to do it. And if I didn't make the decision to like book everything on Airbnb then I probably wouldn't have done it. I don't think so. I just like made the call to do it. So
I'm surprised you didn't do it earlier because I've always loved solo trips, any kind of solo trip. Cause
yeah. How many have you gone on before?
I'm not even sure. Maybe it's not that many. I feel like it's been a lot, or that I'm just always thinking about where I could go.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Different. I've gone on road trips or solo road / train / plane trips, but I think I've always just been independent, and I didn't want to have the fact that I'm single stop me from going anywhere. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna go on a trip.
That's kind of exactly how I felt because, like, I like going on trips with people or going to see somebody on a trip, even if I'm like flying out there by myself. I mean, that's always fun to do, like go to visit different people and who live in different parts of the country and stuff. But everything I was trying to plan was just not working. So I was like, I'm just going to make something work because I really need a vacation.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to just wait around for somebody who can go with me. So that was kind of my mindset with it. That it didn't start out with me gonna do a solo road trip, but then it ended up with being a solo road trip. So
Yeah, which isn't a bad thing.
no, I know I had like a few people like, man, I don't know if I could do Ziggy. My dogs are here for everyone who's not in the room, and Jay's loving it.
Hey, everyone, come talk to the microphone. Come here. Come here.
All you hear is heavy breathing.
Right there.
Oh my word. This is going to be like 2 minutes
All
of
right.
dead silence.
That's all they're gonna say. That's all they're gonna say. They just kind of
Yeah.
licked and smelled. Was that the first solo road trip you've been on?
Yes. I mean, I've done like a trip to visit people on my own.
Yeah.
But like,
Not where you're like, I'm going here and here and here.
not
and
like
here,
the
and I'm
whole
coming home.
trip on my own. Which, like, I'm going to be honest, like when I left, I'm like, I don't know. Why am I doing this? Like, I had this like major feeling of doubt even as I started the trip.
I get that.
And it turned into like a lot more, I'm okay with this. Like, this is cool. Like, I'm meeting new people and having awesome experiences on my own. And it's okay that I don't have to have someone with me to share those experiences. But at first I was like, man, am I just a loser going on my own?
No. I get those thoughts too. Sometimes I've been on trips by myself and I was really happy that I went, but then I came back and I was like, that's good for now.
Right.
Like, it was important to me, but then there's also plenty of moments where I'm like, man, I wish I could share that with somebody.
Yeah. I mean, I totally wish that moments I could have shared with somebody, because I mean, I have those memories in my head, and like, you know, I took lots of pictures and wrote things down and stuff, but there's no one else who had saw those things at the same time as me, and we can reflect on it later and laugh about it or
Yeah.
something.
It's
But
yours.
It's just mine, which is a totally new experience for me. I mean, I kind of had that living overseas, but I was sharing things with friends over there all the time.
Yeah.
So it's different.
With this,
but-
nobody can appreciate those moments like you can. You can show pictures and videos
Yeah.
and say, look at this thing I did.
I know, but then people get bored and like, oh, that looks fun, but
Yeah, or they get jealous.
yeah. And I don't like bragging about trips and stuff. Like, I don't know. I'll
I think
show
it's good because it
pictures,
makes
but-
people go on their own solo trip.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, people were all like, I get so bored, and like, I don't know, it forced me to like be in my head more, and like,
Yeah.
that was definitely at times I was like, man, I just want to like talk to people. And like, then I would like just go and talk to somebody, because like I had control over that. And that was the weird thing. I wrote that down. I was like, conversation only happens when you choose to engage with somebody, because I've noticed that when I was on the trip, I noticed less and less people are just willing to come and talk to a stranger. Like, people just don't do that anymore. They're always looking down at their phones and all that kind of
And
stuff.
you also don't
which-
assume that stranger wants to talk to you.
I know. So, I mean, unless you're on a plane and like forced to sit by a stranger, like you usually aren't like engaging with people you don't know, because you have like, and if you're not by yourself, you're like talking with your friends or your family or something. So you're less likely to like talk to a stranger. So I was kind of like forcing myself to talk to people if I wanted a conversation. Otherwise, it was just me. I mean, I did talk to myself a lot though.
I think it's fine though. That's part of the reason I like it, is because I have time to reflect and think and, you know, wonder about the future or what I'm doing, and like it just slows things down.
Yeah,
There's
no,
nobody
totally.
asking me for things. There's nothing I have to do for other people. It's just me,
Yeah.
and that's it for however long I'm gone.
So when you go, do you just like completely have like no plans whatsoever? Like, do you plan where you're going to stay?
It depends. I feel like it's a little bit of both, because the last trip I took was to New York, and I had like the train ride planned and one of the places I was going to stay planned, and then I knew for at least one of the nights I could find a hotel on the road,
Yeah.
because I wasn't quite sure where I would be.
See, I think you're a little more brave than I am. I had to plan my hotels the entire time. Like that was I did Airbnb, but like I wasn't brave enough to just like wing it.
I just knew I could be like close, because I use a Holiday Inn app because I get
Oh,
points,
okay, yeah.
and I know if I can I just have to get to a major city where I can look it up. If I know it's getting late, I can say, all right, where's the nearest Holiday Inn, and I'll just drive there.
Right.
Things like that. But
and
when I
where
went
I
to New
was
York,
going to, like there was less, like a lot of places get booked like hotel wise, like Grand Canyon especially, like are booked
Yeah.
early in advance. So like my only options were staying, in Airbnb, like in Flagstaff or Sedona or something.
That makes sense. And I usually do, for the big things that I know I have to book or plan, I'll do that. I just like to leave it open so I'm not stuck to one thing that I might not want to do.
Right.
Like the days were sort of open sometimes, and I went to like improv shows or just walked around. But then there were like the big things where I'm like, all right, I have to be at that.
Yeah.
I already have tickets.
Yeah. The only thing I had tickets for, I've always wanted to go to Antelope Canyon, which was an awesome experience. At the same time, it was like really frustrating because everyone wants to go to Antelope Canyon now and it's overcrowded. But it was still worth it in the long run. But anyway, that's the only thing I booked in advance. And I kind of had like an idea of what I wanted to, like maybe like what day I wanted to go to the Grand Canyon and like what day I wanted to go hiking and stuff. But I didn't really plan out like time frame or like where and everything. And that changed too, which was really cool. Like the Grand Canyon, I decided, because when I went to my Airbnb in Flagstaff, which is where I stayed before I went to the Grand Canyon, the lady who was running the Airbnb, she was like awesome and sat down for like an hour with me and was like, okay, what do you want to do in this area? I can tell you everything. She had maps for everything and like best restaurants and like where to go in the Grand Canyon, help me plan out like spots I'd want to see in the Grand Canyon. I didn't have a plan for the Grand Canyon, and she's like, most people make a mistake when they go there of not having a plan and they don't see the best parts. So I mean, that was the best thing, was talking with someone who's been there so many times, who lives there and like could tell me the best places to go. So I decided to get up and do sunrise at the Grand Canyon, which is an hour and a half drive from Flagstaff. So I had to get up like 3 a.m. to get there by 5:30.
Worth it.
It was so worth it. I was so tired. Plus I beat like all the crowds out there. I was out there like on the trail with nobody around me. And
That's cool.
It was insanely awesome. It was so quiet. And by 9 o'clock, I mean, the whole place gets overcrowded, and like, the trams that run to different, or the buses that run to different spots are like full of people. And so I got to experience it like more on my own, which I feel like was awesome because it's just like quiet up there. And I feel like when you're in that big space like that, it's so beautiful. Like you kind of need that time to reflect. Anyway, it was awesome that I didn't make a plan and like got to sit down with somebody and who knows the place and figure that out.
Yeah.
So.
Then they get to help you make a plan.
Yeah.
Well, give me like a quick overview of the different spots you hit.
Okay.
On your trip.
I didn't drive straight to Arizona because it's a long drive to like Sedona. It was like 14 hours that's not even with stops. So I decided to stop halfway in Albuquerque, and each time like there and back. And totally worth it, because by like 7 or 8 hours, like that's like max for me of wanting to drive. Like I've done more going to Colorado, like it's a little more, but like it's still like it's exhausting.
Your trip,
especially when you're the only one driving. Like I've done Colorado with other people, and so you're breaking it up, the driving. That's different. When you're the only one, it's exhausting. There goes my dogs. Anyway, when you're the one driving, I just couldn't do it anymore by 7 or 8 hours. Like I was done. So, and that's the longest I drove. Like the first day and the last day were my longest drives. So Albuquerque, and then I went to Sedona, and then 2 nights in Sedona, and then 2 nights in Flagstaff, and then back to Albuquerque for a night, and then back home. So it was kind of a quick trip, but because it's a long drive, it's a lot of driving. But I mean, it was worth it. So
yeah, I think it's always great to go on a trip like that, because it's also, you're only worrying about your needs and what you want to do and what makes sense for you. And it's, in a way, a great way.
I think my dog is eating a Lego. Hold on.
Hey,
Daisy
give me that.
May, give me that Lego. Daisy May. Hold, please. I apologize for my dog eating a Lego.
It's okay.
Daisy. Oh, she totally got a Lego.
Hey, that's not food.
Hey, come here. I don't want you to eat plastic. Oh. This is a perfect recording. There are no edits in this, Okay, leave it.
which people should know.
Oh, Toy.
Amy is tending to her dog's needs. I guess they tore a piece of plastic off the toy. Is that what happened?
Yes, they tore a piece off the toy.
Oh.
It wasn't a Lego. Your Legos are saved.
All right, good.
Sorry for the interruption, people. Anyway, where were we?
Yeah, I was saying it's I think these trips are good because it's a way for an individual to recharge.
Yes.
I think sometimes a vacation is not necessarily that, depending on who you're going with. It can be, but you can also go with somebody, and by the time you get back, you're like, I just want to be alone now.
Right.
This can be a way to get away. You are able to just simplify things for a while, do what you want to do, sleep when you want, eat when you want, do what you want.
And that's what's also awesome too is like on a like even though I'm single, I've gone on trips and a lot of people, like you're always checking with that person about what you want to do, where you want to go.
Yeah, like, is this okay with you?
Yeah. And like there's none of that on this trip. Like
yeah.
Whenever I felt like, I just did whenever I felt like, so that's a different feeling too. Like, I don't know. I got used to just, I do that all the time in my daily life since I'm single right now, but it's different on a trip. Like, it's a different feeling when you're on a trip.
You go with a group, then you're like, the more people you add to that group, the more opinions you have.
Exactly.
Gonna sneeze.
Oh no. Bless you.
So that's more opinions you have to consider, and
yeah. Oh, double sneeze.
Which is fine. It's just it can complicate things.
Yeah, and then sometimes you have like people like who aren't really excited to do one thing, but you're having to give in, and then you feel bad because the other person's not having as good time. Like, there's none of that going on this, so it's kind of nice. Like, you don't have to worry about any of that. Which also, my history of going with family members on trips, there's always arguments too.
Yeah. Oh, family trips can be the worst.
Oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, the amount of arguments we had growing up going on trips. I think we argued more than we did anything.
Yeah. It's just nice to be out there and go, I don't know, what am I doing today?
Because, on a trip, you're like around that person all the time. So you start getting annoyed with them after a while. It's going to happen. Even spouses, family members, friends, like at a certain point during the trip, you're going to get frustrated with that person.
Of course.
And I didn't get frustrated with myself.
Yeah. You're like, I know me pretty well.
I know. And fortunately, I'm a pretty good navigator. I did, I had like a little thing on my car to put it on like it's one of those clips that goes on to your AC.
Oh yeah, where you can put the phone on.
Yeah. If I didn't have that, it would have been really frustrating driving because I wouldn't have had something to look at straight at. I would have been more distracting. But having that thing on there was easy to navigate with that. And I always used Google Maps because Apple Maps is terrible.
Oh, it's the failed app. It works if you need it. In a pinch, it'll work.
Yeah. But no, Google Maps got me everywhere I need to go. The only time I kind of freaked out was there's a space in between going from Flagstaff to Antelope Canyon. There was 30 minutes of no cell phone coverage whatsoever. And luckily, I knew where I was going. I had a straight shot on the highway there, but... well, kind of a straight shot. Anyway, but I was like, man, if something happens to me, I saw 2 cars pass. I'm like, if something happens to me, I'm screwed. This is the middle of the effing desert out here.
Yeah.
And if something happens to my car, I just kept thinking all these scenarios. And then that was the only time I ever got freaked out. But on the way back from that trip, I thought it was really cool, at least. This is one of those experiences you're like, man, I wish someone else had saw it. But at the same time, I'm like, it's always going to be in my head. On the way back from that trip, in that same spot, that dead zone, I saw these 4 horses, wild horses, just trucking it right along the highway. And behind them were 2, I'm assuming, Indians, because I was in Indian territory, Indian land, Navajo land.
Native American.
I'm sorry, that's terrible. I am really terrible. Native Americans.
Thank you.
Navajo Indians. That's probably the politically correct term.
That sounds okay.
Yeah.
I'm no expert in that.
Anyway, they were behind the horses trying to lasso them on horses themselves, obviously. And it was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Awesome.
I thought it was in a movie,
Yeah.
It's like perfectly
That's
like
probably
right
the only
by my
place
car.
I've seen
I
something
know.
like that.
It was really amazing. So I was like, you know what? I mean, it was worth coming out here and freaking out on the first time.
Yeah. Because you get to see things you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a beautiful drive. Like the different kind of landscapes that you see in Arizona, it's pretty amazing. I never knew what's like just different like you go from Flagstaff and being like, I don't know, like pine trees and stuff. You feel like you're in Colorado to like completely desert,
Yeah.
like in 30 minutes. It's insane. And it's amazing. So anyway,
That's cool.
yeah.
Turn the mic a little bit toward.
Oh,
more
sorry.
towards
Is it not?
No, you're fine.
Is that good?
That's better.
Is that better? Okay.
Yeah.
I got a little crazy with the mic when the dogs went nuts. So
It's all right. They're good now. They're just kind of prancing around. What was like the most memorable moment? I mean, was it that or
well, I mean, that was one of them.
What
but-
did you take away from the trip though? How'd you feel coming back?
I mean, I feel like I gained more confidence. I mean, traveling alone. I mean, not like I've never had confidence traveling alone, but I mean, like, I knew that I could go on a trip like that and plan it and like be okay with like the quiet. I don't know. I think that's what I was worried about the most was the quiet
Yeah.
and
Being
like,
alone with your thoughts.
like what would I find out about myself? Am I
Maybe
gonna-
too much, but
I
that's a good
know.
thing.
But I learned that I was okay with that. And like, I learned there's things I need to work on about myself. And like, I don't know. It was good that like reflection time
Yeah.
was good. I mean, not that I had like, I was sitting and meditating the whole time,
No.
but like the times that I got to just like relax and like, I don't know, when you're driving too, like you're in your head the whole time. Like, yeah. So
I
that's
think
probably my
it's
biggest
good. I
takeaway.
think it's solo trips aren't always fun. Sometimes they're the opposite. Sometimes they're terrible. But
Yeah.
I feel like you learn something about yourself and
Yeah.
you realize something about your life, or it's time alone that you don't necessarily get. Even if you're single and home alone, you still
I know.
don't get this.
And
it's
I
not the
think
same.
that people didn't, I mean, I don't know if people get that. Like, just because I'm single, I don't travel by myself all the time and I'm around people all the time. Like,
yeah.
it's not like, and people I know all the time, I mean, it's not like I'm constantly just chilling at home with my dogs.
And even when you are, like, there's, I don't know, you're either talking to people through
Yeah, and
texting or you're at
yeah.
the store, or I mean,
And I try to be off social media. I mean, obviously I was when I was driving for sure. The only times I was on it was like to post a picture on Instagram,
yeah.
which then goes to Facebook on mine. So like, and I'd reply to people's comments here and there, but not frequently. Like I tried to make a point to be off of it. And some places I couldn't anyway, because I had no service. So
Sure.
like Grand Canyon, there was no service out there. So it forces you to like be off your phone. And I loved it. And like, I got used to it. And it's crazy how like, when you come back, how easy it is to get back into it. I'm like, can't we all just get rid of our
Social
phones?
media it can be depressing
Yeah.
because all you're thinking about is what you don't have.
thing. Yeah, it's the comparison thing. And like that's the only thing I thought about when I'm like posting pictures of my trip. I'm like, man, I don't want to be this like, look at me on this fancy trip, but I also like to share with people what I'm doing, you know.
Yeah, but that's
I wasn't on a fancy trip,
other
but I mean like
people.
yeah.
I think it's fine to post what you're doing on social media. It's how people respond to that. If I'm
Right.
looking at everyone else's page and saying, "Oh, look at what they're doing. I don't have it," or "Look at what they're doing. I hate what they're doing, but I'm going to keep looking." That's on those individuals.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of doing that too. Like, you know, you see people and like going on trips all the time or posting. I mean, but we only post the nice, pretty things on there.
Yeah.
So
We all know that though. I
All
think I like seeing what other people are doing. I've unfollowed people that I'm bothered by, or if I'm going to be affected by what they're posting, I just unfollow them.
right.
Why am I what's the point?
Yeah.
Some people just like to be angry all the time.
It's very true. Okay, so where have you gone solo road tripping? I mean, I
Let's
knew you went
see.
to like did you drive to New York?
So in December, I drove to Chicago, left my car there, and took the train to New York.
That's right. That's so crazy awesome.
Yeah.
How was the train? Because I've never done a train in the United States. I mean, I've done it in Europe, but
it
not
was
here.
fun. I don't know if I'd do it again like that because it was a
Super long.
22-hour train ride,
Oh yeah.
and I didn't get a cabin or anything.
Wow.
It
Oh,
was just
so
a
you're like
chair.
sitting upright the whole time.
It leaned back, but
That's miserable.
the trip there wasn't as bad as the trip back. The trip back, I was just like, I want to get
Yeah.
home, and it was just, it seemed like it took even longer.
Jeez, yeah.
But it was memorable. I'm glad I did it. I ended up sleeping a lot. I got to catch up on podcasts and
Yeah.
read, and
Yeah, that's the one thing I did not do as much as I'd like to have, like, read. Because the one day that so the day I went to the Grand Canyon, sorry, my dogs are right under my feet and drive me crazy.
hey guys.
The one day I went to the Grand Canyon, that morning I got up super early, right, and came back, like, because I had seen what I wanted to see by, like, 11 o'clock. I'd been out there for 6
A lot of
hours. So I was like, I'm good. I'm going to go back home. And like, I got back by like 12:30, and then I wasn't doing anything. I had planned on doing that star photography thing.
Mhm.
So that wasn't until like 8 o'clock at night. So I decided the rest of that, like 8 hours, I was just going to chill.
Yes.
And I was like, I'll read. I'm like, but I was so tired. I ended up like napping and then just like chilling and like listening to music and like sitting out on the porch. Like I didn't even read.
That's great though.
So that was like really the only opportunity I had to read the whole time, because I wanted to do like see stuff and do things but so I didn't read as much as I would have liked, but I was driving a lot. Like if I wasn't driving so much on a trip, then it would have been different.
You can read at home.
I know, but I don't do that enough either.
Well, you didn't have to say that.
I need to. That's on my list of wanting to do. At least I learned that about myself on the trip, is I want to read more.
That's true. See, there were times where I went on my trip and I was like, I should read right now. But I'd kind of rather just sit here and look out the window and think.
So, okay, so you've done car, you've done train. Have you done a bus? Have you done like
Well,
Greyhound?
yeah, for a short time. So I went, it was the year before that, or maybe 2 years ago. I flew, whoa.
Sorry, my dog's
Got dogs?
right under your table.
Uh,
I'm giving them their rawhide bones right now so that like, they can like go and do something different.
guys, go play.
Here, Daisy May. Okay.
I flew to Boston, and then I took a train to New York, and then I think back to Boston, and then I took a bus to Portsmouth, New Hampshire,
Mm-hmm.
to see a show, and then I took the bus back to Boston, and then I flew out of Boston. So that was my other.
But it wasn't a long bus ride.
I feel like it was maybe an hour.
Yeah.
I was going to get a car ride. That was the time where I had these tickets to a show.
Right.
And I don't think I was late, but I went to go get the car, and it was going to be crazy expensive, and I was just like, forget, I can't do that. It's just too much. So I ran back to the bus station, and they had a bus just in time to get there. And then while I was still on the bus, I was ordering an Uber or Lyft. And then the guy was at the station when I got there, and then he took me on. It was like in this small town. Well, Portsmouth. I mean, I don't know how big it is, but it was like this nice little quaint
it's pretty.
town. So, so he drove me around to the theater. I got there in time to like sit down, and the opener was coming
So
on.
was it stressful?
Yeah, because I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. And it was like,
I
this is the
know.
reason I came here, but then it ended up being my favorite story because I was like, it was.
And that's the other thing I noticed on the road trip is like the times I got stressed out, I had no one else to like help me deal with that. Like I had to deal with it on my own.
Yeah, you either make
which-
it happen or you don't get
I know.
to see what you want to see.
I'm like, I guess I'm gonna figure this out. Funny story. This is my most stressful moment I just remembered. So the first night in Sedona, like her house backed up to this amazing like rock formations and stuff that are there, and there's little hiking trails and stuff. But like the main hiking trails are like the normal paths. Like you have to, from her neighborhood, like the street, you had to like hike up to it. And it's not like a well-worn path, but she kind of told me where to go. And like I knew, I had my Google Maps and like pinpointed her house so I could like find my way. And so I got to the trail and I did like one direction to like, they had this, it's called the stupa. It's like this like Buddhist shrine area that's out in the open out there. So I went and saw that, and then I went the other direction up the trail so I could watch the sunset a little bit. And I was sitting up there just like chilling and enjoying it, and I was like, okay, I gotta get back down because it's starting to get, you know, a little darker, and I don't want to be out here in the dark. So I go down the trail, and I think I know where I'm going, trying to find like the less beaten path trail to get down to her house. And I get totally lost. I can't find that little trail. And like, look, I like backtrack. So I'm like on my phone looking at where the pinpoint was. And it's like, okay, I'm past the pinpoint. Like I have to go back. I mean, and by now it's like getting super dark. I don't have a flashlight. My phone is like at 20%.
Oh, man.
And like, there's like cacti everywhere. Like I can't just like trample through, but I trampled through anyway because I was like, I cannot be up here. And like I was worried about snakes and like,
Yeah, it's scary.
like I was freaking out, and I had scratches. I was wearing shorts. I had scratches all over my legs when I got back. And like, it literally took me what should have been like 5 minutes to get down that. It took me like 30. And by the time I got to her house, it was dark. And I was just like, I was like up there on the hill thinking, I can't just sit up here all night. Like, what am I going to do?
But were you proud of yourself
I
for
was so
figuring
proud
it
of
out?
myself for figuring it out because like I just had to make my own path until I found the trail again. And I did. I eventually found it. I just kept turning my phone to like, you know, because on Google Maps when you're walking, it shows you like a path.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I just like kept pointing my phone that direction and going that way. I'm like, eventually I'll run into it, which I did. So yeah, I had like scratches all over my leg, and then I get back and tell her what happened, and she's like, oh yeah, I should have told you, it's a little hard to find.
Oh, whoops.
Thanks for that info after the fact.
I mean, so great though.
She had told me that one lady too got lost one time and ended up like in a completely different neighborhood. So I felt good that I at least found my way back on my
You're
own.
like, I did better than her.
She like called her and like was like, I don't know where I'm at. So I did better than that chick.
That's awesome. I think if you're out there in those situations by yourself on a trip, you will find yourself doing things that you may not do in regular everyday life because you have to.
Yeah.
Like you can rely on yourself more than you think you can, or most people.
I know. I was like,
I
had to rely on. I'm like, there's no one else who's going to help me down this mountain. Like, I have to find a way down on my own. I can't like freak out. I had to like clear my head and just be like, you're gonna survive this, Amy. Like,
Yeah.
But I really was like scared about snakes because the next day I did find out too. I'm glad I didn't know this the day like I was up there. The next day I went on a Jeep tour, randomly decided to go on a Jeep tour, which was not on my plan. But
Love it.
I know. But it was going to rain that day, so I was like, I'm going to do a Jeep tour. So I went and did the pink Jeep tour. Yeah, it was actually really cool. But our tour guide, like, he knew everything about like the landscape and like the wildflowers and like the wildlife and everything. So he was telling us everything about it, and he just like telling us the different types of poisonous snakes and like how deadly they are, and like one of them basically you have 30 minutes to live, and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't know about that when I was up there.
Jeez.
I know. So watch out
That's
for rattlesnakes and other
I
snakes.
don't love snakes, but I held a snake recently
Did you? Yeah.
when we went to McCurtain County,
Nice.
which is a petting zoo, and they had a python.
See, those are like, yeah.
Still, it's.
I mean, they can
it's-
squeeze you to death.
It's
but
weird.
Yeah, I
holding
don't
them.
like snakes.
It's a weird feeling.
I don't like snakes, and yeah, I got pretty fortunate. I didn't run into any. But like with the rattlesnake, like you're gonna hear it usually before, unless you just
Like a rattle sound.
I assume. I don't want to know. I assume.
Yeah, I don't either.
But yeah, no, I made it down.
So, do you see yourself going on another solo road trip anytime soon?
Not probably anytime soon. I mean, it was good for like.
But you're not like hooked now.
I'm not like hooked. I like going on trips with other people. You know, it's like fun to do this every so often. Like because I lived in Germany by myself. Like, I mean, it's been a while, hot minute now. I'm older, so I came back in 2006. So it's like 13 years. It's been a while. So I hadn't done a solo trip anywhere besides like just like flying to see somebody. That's not really a solo trip, but I haven't done a solo trip like that in a long time. So it was pretty awesome, and also kind of scary at times.
Which is good.
I know.
Fear is.
I feel like everyone needs to
good.
do it once in their life, especially a road trip. I don't know. There's something about a road trip that,
I love it.
yeah.
But then I'm sort of the same way, though. I've gone on plenty of trips by myself, or even trips to see other people, but by myself.
Here's a question too. We have 6 minutes. I think we're okay. Do you think it's easier? Well, I guess you wouldn't know it's easier, but I kind of wonder if it's easier for a man to do a road trip by themselves or just a trip by themselves than a woman. Like, because at times, like, I wasn't really fearful of like getting hurt or like, I don't know. There's just like that added sense of like you have to know your surroundings more as a woman. And fortunately, I'm tall and I'm not small, so it's like I have that advantage as
Sure.
a woman. But it's still in the back of my head always. Whereas I'm sure you're not thinking like, is that ever like you're not really worried about your safety?
There are moments where, I mean, no, generally I
Yeah.
feel okay, but there are moments where I think I could find myself in a situation that I am.
Especially if you're in a big city, like if you go to
Yes.
like New York, you never know.
I've thought about, especially in a city like that, where
Yeah.
I could easily be, I could find myself in a place where
Like,
I can't defend myself.
Do you check in with people like at least like say, hey, I'm here, like, or I'm doing this, or because
little bit.
I did that with my parents at least. Like I was like, hey, I'm going to this place, and like I wouldn't like constantly check in because I'm like,
Sure.
but at least wanted to let somebody know like where I was kind of at, so that if something happened to me,
I probably don't
You
as
know.
much as I should.
yeah.
I don't even know if I think about it. I'm
Yeah,
just
see, that's
out
the
there.
difference as a man and a woman, because like, it's always on my mind. Like, you know,
but I'm saying
not
maybe
always,
I
but-
should.
yeah,
Maybe I should be more worried. I know other people worry
I mean, 'cause
about me.
2 people could definitely overpower you. Like
Yeah, it
one
wouldn't take
person
much. It's not like I'm a
could,
huge
but-
guy. Like I think
yeah.
I could probably fight somebody off if I had to, but I'm not like.
Yeah,
If you wanted to steal me, you could steal me.
yeah. I mean, that wasn't like constantly on my mind, but it's something you still have to like think about as a woman, especially on a solo trip. Like, know your surroundings. Like, I'm looking around me and I didn't try to be out too late at night in the dark, like on my own, walking
Sure.
somewhere. You know, I just had to be smart about that kind of stuff.
Those are the times I don't like. If it's at night and I'm walking
Yeah.
on a dark road and there's not a lot of people, that is what I'm thinking about it.
Oh yeah. I think that as a woman, if you do a trip like that, you just have to be a little bit more aware of, and like not put yourself in a situation where you're like, especially if you go out, like if you, like where I was at in Flagstaff, I could walk to bars and stuff, but I wasn't going to go and like drink and then put myself in a situation where what if I drank too much and then like someone took advantage of me or something, you know, like that's a thought, like
Sure.
it could happen. So
Do you have pepper spray or anything?
No,
Damn it, Amy!
I did have a pocket knife.
Oh, yeah. Well, I feel like.
That's not going to be.
How are you with a pocket knife?
I mean, I've never really tried to stab somebody before.
Oh, okay.
so-
Well, just checking.
But no, I mean, it's just you have to like be a little bit more aware than normal. I mean, just think of like if you're coming out from the mall at night, going to your car, kind of awareness. Like,
Sure.
yeah,
Looking around.
looking
I
around.
feel like I always try to be somewhat aware, especially if it's not a crowded place.
Yeah.
'cause I'm
I
like,
also
don't
thought
want-
that like gas stations, I was really aware at gas stations because I mean, there's a lot of people coming and going. You never know. So I was really aware at that spot too. Like every time I stopped.
You didn't go to like gas stations that had one car in it, did you?
No, and I didn't go up to like truckers and
And say, hey, are you looking for
a good time.
something?
No.
Because that does happen at all the, well, not all
Yeah.
the truck stops, but I'm sure there's plenty of them.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it home alive.
Thanks. That's exactly what my dad basically said when I got home. He's like, I'm so glad you're safe.
I mean, I can't imagine being a parent though, and like your kid is
But
like,
I'm 37. Come
yeah,
on.
but you're always gonna be their kid.
I know.
I mean, my mom's the same way. Like, you know, she's worried for me. I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm gonna be fine.
I know. I just had to keep telling them, I'm like, I'm going to be fine. Like
And if
my
I'm
dad
not
told my
fine-
mom, he's like, I can't believe she's doing this trip on her own. He was more worried
best.
than anybody like that I talked to.
I probably would be too, though. If I had a daughter, I feel like I'd always be worried.
Yeah,
How do you not?
that's true.
Because like, I think your friends probably weren't worried about you the same as your parents would be.
No. You weren't worried for me, Jay?
I mean, I was like, I feel like
No,
you're
you were
pretty,
the one who told me to go. Like,
yeah, I feel like you're pretty independent and you can
Yeah.
take care of yourself, and you do
I know.
take care of yourself. So it's like,
Yeah.
if something's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can do. I mean, other than, because what else am I going to tell you to do? Not live your life? Not
Right.
go on a trip that you want to go on? Like,
I
the
know.
best you can do is have a pocket knife or a gun or mace
Oh,
or
yeah.
something,
Yeah.
or just being aware.
I know. Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody else who's thinking about going on a road trip?
I'd
By
say just don't overthink it. Just do it. Just book it. Like if it's in the back of your head, just like make it happen. And then like, I don't know, like just allow yourself to like do things spontaneously on it, because that's usually the best things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there was probably 7 or 8 things that I didn't think I was going to do and ended up doing. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
It's like leaving yourself the time to do those things.
Yeah. And you can do it, if you're married, go ahead and do this. I mean, don't feel guilty to go on a single trip if you're married or in a relationship or something. Like you should, I think people as spouses, you should like allow your spouse to do that. Like trust them enough to go off on a trip to do I think that's good for a relationship too.
Sure.
Like to let your spouse have that time by
Maybe
themselves.
both of you go.
I know. I mean, you could-
like separate,
yeah.
separate trips.
Both do separate. I mean, do a trip together, do a trip separately. Like, ooh, it beeps at you.
Oh, look at that. 3. Wow, look at
Oh
that.
my gosh, that's scary. We went
Oh.
over.
How do I turn
Is it
this thing
gonna
off?
like blow up?
This is the first time. All right, I got it.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. So I
Now we're in
think-
extra innings.
Yeah, we are in extra time here. Overtime.
No, but I think it's good. Like, as a single person, it's still good too to go and do this. Like, I think each individual needs to like have that moment in their life, moments where they go and take a trip on their own. You
Sure.
learn about yourself. You learn about different people. You meet people you never would have met if you'd been with somebody else. Like, just so many things. Like, yeah.
I think some of my favorite trips have been with significant others, and some of my other favorite trips have been with me. Just
I
me.
usually don't regret any trip I take. honestly.
That's a good point. I think that's probably true for a lot of people. You get something out of
Unless
each
like
trip.
something terrible happens, like then usually
Yeah, but even then you could say like, well, that was good. Like you got something out of that terrible thing happening, or
Yeah.
it's like something to remember. It's a good lesson learned.
yeah,
It's just
true.
maybe not the best memory,
yeah.
but okay.
All right.
Well, we're out of time, as you heard from that very loud beeper. Now I know how that thing works. That's good. That's very good.
I was here for the first clock countdown.
Yeah. Nobody can see it yet, but it's a very large clock on my wall.
I mean, it's like probably 18 inches wide.
I
and
think
like,
that's correct. And that's what she said.
that's a good way to end.
So thanks for coming on, and come back soon.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
It was so nice to have Amy back on the show. I really like talking about solo traveling because I think it's something that people don't do enough of. I think it can be really beneficial. So if there's anywhere you've gone by yourself and had a positive experience with, let me know. Message me, call me, text me, write me, any of those. But anyway, if you liked this episode, please let me know. If you hated this episode, please let me know. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, please let me know. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.